better not go live, boy. TMDWU. Fired from Wendy's. Kicked out of Frosty's. Murdered a praying mantis. Cheated on his girlfriend because a pregnant woman in a van needed a cigarette. Butchered a used mini-size adult doll. What do all of these things I listed have in common? They all relate back to KingCobraJFS, Josh Saunders, and I guess are kind of relevant to how we got here today. How we got to where we are today is a key thing here. It is impossible to summarize KingCobraJFS in a quick recap video. There's so many sagas that go so deep, so many iconic characters and situations, we cannot get through it all. That's what stuff like Bite Size Cobra Vid's whole docu-series is for. Hours and hours of content going through key moments of his life. Please, if you want details, go watch something like that instead. This is not comprehensive. I'm making this because it seems like a lot of people kind of joined in to trying to keep up with Josh Saunders once all of these stuff with Nal started going on, his ex Jessica Boyle, a year ago. And for people who watch my content and just didn't really know much about Cobra, this is just a quick summary of some key things that may be relevant. If it doesn't feel like it's relevant to like where we are today and how things are probably going to be going forward, I didn't include it. You know, we could probably talk for hours about the old friend of his that was like a furry, but also like a sicko zoophile or whatever, and like pooped in diapers for fun or whatever, and tried to steal Josh's girlfriend at a time, whatever. But like, is he about to bring that guy up in the middle of a food hack? Probably not. I am not an expert. I've not been here since the beginning. I've been checking him out on and off for a good few years now, but there's people who know way more than me, and I'm not trying to say I can do better than them. I'm just trying to provide some info for people who usually watch me and could use a refresher. There probably won't be a major visual aspect to this. I'll like throw up some pictures onto the screen if I can find them and they seem relevant. But mainly, I'm just going to be yapping about this list of things that I've gathered here. I did ask on a community tab post, what kind of stuff do you want to know about? What kind of stuff should be included that I don't know about? Got what I could from there. I'm not going to satisfy everybody because, you know, a lot of people want me to get more involved in things from the past that just like aren't critical to now. But I digress. Let's get into it. I categorized what I could. I'm mainly just going to be yapping about whatever things I get when I go down this list of topics as quickly as I can. And by that, I mean, yes, let's wrap this up. Who is this guy? Josh Saunders. KingCobraJFS, the YouTube channel that just got banned. He doesn't have it anymore. JFS is his initials. Joshua Faye Saunders? See, this is what I mean. I'm pretty sure that's his middle name. Not 100%, but does that matter? No, not really. He also went by Gothic King Cobra. He's had other usernames throughout the years. He's been on different platforms. He's like live stream on like Facebook more, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure he's uploaded videos to adult sites at times. Who knows all the different usernames? Not me. He lives in Casper, Wyoming. He's been there for quite a while. The only immediate family of his that will really probably ever get brought up or be seen is his father, Clint Saunders. He is remarried. I believe Josh has like at least a stepsister, if not more. You're not going to see them. His mother left him at a young age. Apparently she's crazy. Years later, I think they tried to meet up at some point. He recalls them like having a meal together at a restaurant and them not having anything to say to each other, and I think that was pretty much it. Now he seems pretty okay with not having her in his life. The places he's lived in his adult life. You may have seen videos he's made in like this green painted room with a crappy webcam. That was when he was living at home with Clint. He has also lived in a studio apartment. That's where he started making food hacks. If you go look at some old food hacks, you see like this different place. It's probably his first place. He lived there with Couch Chris for a while. You don't really need to know a lot about him. Josh had like a lot of people stay there on and off. I guess he's just such a giving guy, you know. Anyone who needed a place to stay, you could see different people come and go. If you go look at some like archive channels, various friends, acquaintances, vagrants, let people crash there. He eventually got evicted from there. I want to say it was because of spray painting wands inside when he was making the wands, smoking inside, and probably just a lot of noises and scents coming from the place. I think the complex might have said like they couldn't rent the apartment above or like next to him because it just, I guess you could like smell spray paint and stuff. He got kicked out of there. His dad had to like plead with them to like not make it a whole thing. I think like he literally had to replace the carpeting in the apartment so that there wouldn't be like major issues. Then he got into the 1-bedroom apartment at the Conquistador. That was the best place. The chair in the middle in that living room, the couch on the side, the kitchen back there, you know. That was the best layout. You may recall him getting evicted from there following Nal being there and screaming throughout the night and probably being pretty scary. Also, I'm sure the place was like getting calls all the time about him from trolls and maybe even non-trolls. And then where he's at now, the trailer that was bought by his dad. He was also away at Job Corps for a time. Speaking of, where's he worked? He went to Job Corps. I guess it's a place where you kind of learn basic skills for a job for people who need the extra help. I think they give you some jobs there as well. But anyway, he most notably worked at Wendy's for a time. He, I think, kind of mostly like did stuff like janitorial or like doing stuff in the back. He famously apparently kept getting the sweet and unsweet teas mixed up when he went to go refill them, which, you know, could potentially be a problem for some sensitive individuals. So like either because of him just like messing up a lot or just being overall weird or because of like just a bunch of trolls calling into the place, he eventually got fired from there. He also, I forget if this is before or after, he had like a dishwashing job at a restaurant that eventually just like stopped giving him hours, basically, like places tend to do when you're not full-time and they don't really like you. Oh no, you're not fired. You just get 1 hour a week. Like, speaking of, what does he do for money now? He's terrible with money. Very notably, he can't save. He gets money and he just spends it on stupid stuff. I believe he does get some government assistance right now. Clint is in charge of his finances, I believe. I have to imagine like that money would go to Clint and he would use that to like pay for rent for him and stuff. Clint, his like Josh's YouTube money and whatever other might also go to Clint, and then like he like deals with that for Josh's bills, and then if there's like maybe he like sends the leftover to Josh. It's kind of unclear. Josh has a PayPal account, and that's pretty much it from what I understand. Josh really does not properly monetize his online presence. Obviously, he just lost his main channel that was monetized and, could get like super chats and theoretically run ads. He could have been getting a lot more money than he was if he kind of managed stuff with YouTube properly. I don't know if he ever bothered to like kind of go through and see like, hey, which one of my videos are demonetized? Can I add mid-roll ads to this, etc.? Because he like tends to he'll usually like curse within the first couple of seconds of a video, which is like pretty instant. Like YouTube's like, no, you can't monetize this, and like that's so preventable. But I guess he's unwilling to compromise on his bad boy lifestyle, so whatever. And then like anytime he drinks or smokes in a video, he like says he's going to age restrict it, which is not necessarily essential, and that just that just also just kills ad opportunities for it. But it didn't really matter because he got by on PayPal and Cash App and Super Chat donations from people that either, wanted a shout out in exchange or to just make him read something out that'll annoy him or whatever. He, of course, sells wands, except not really. He just doesn't really make them anymore. He just kind of stopped. He's made maybe 2 or 3 wands since he moved into the trailer. Every time he makes one, it almost always just sells instantly for $500 on his Etsy. You'd think he would want to up production, but no. I mean, Clint's always pushing him to up production. I wonder how many he would be able to sell for $500 if they were in better supply. Definitely a good amount of them. But I think as they started becoming actually available, people would be like, oh, maybe they're not that special. I don't know how many people are actually willing to spend that money on them. But hey, supply is so limited that every time he makes one, it sure does sell for a lot of money. He has a merch store that I can't imagine pretty much anyone is even bothering buying from. Especially with all of the just AI art that he's making and just clip art and Google Images things he's just pasting onto shirts with text. But I'm sure some people are. Is he really making more than a few bucks on each sale of that? Probably not. I think he's mentioned recently about I got a couple $100 from YouTube coming in, which would be you get paid by YouTube monthly. And I'm assuming probably almost all of that is super chats from his couple times a year live stream now he's got going. He really does not live stream much anymore. But also through PayPal and whatever, I'm sure he's making some good money. He does the cameos. I don't know if he's actually exporting the earnings from that or not, or transferring, whatever. His account's always in the negative. Not always, but good couple of times a year, he's yeah, my account's in the negative. You don't have to donate, but if you do, it's appreciated. Anyway, I mentioned he's on some assistance. The kind of struggles he deals with, the way the issues he has and disorders, things that make it tough for him. He's got Asperger's, which I believe falls under autism. He's got autism. He's said he has schizophrenia before. I don't know how confirmed that is, but he said it. So obviously he has alcoholism. He says it himself, but he kind of claims to have more control over it than he really seems to. And I don't know if this counts as more of a symptom of other things, but oppositional defiant disorder, ODD. He doesn't like to do what he's told. I think usually it's people identify it as oh, if you were gonna go do something clean your room and then someone asks you to, you're oh, I don't even want to anymore. That, except I'm sure it gets a lot worse, especially if you're dealing with other issues. That's why it's so hard for Clint to help him with stuff or convince him to do things to improve his situation, because he's most likely just going to do the opposite. And I forget what other kind of issues, but I guess those are kind of main ones that he's struggling with. Moving on to his diet, he does not eat fruit and vegetables, maybe the occasional vegetable if it's a topping on a pizza or something, His diet pretty much consists of whatever takeout he thinks of through DoorDash, and food hacks that he makes, which is also just groceries he orders through DoorDash. I'm really not sure. I don't think in between food hacks and food reviews that he's toasting a bagel or making a bologna sandwich or anything, I think he really is just surviving on the takeout and the food hacks. He doesn't drink any water. Almost all of his beverages are alcohol. Drink combos, a lot of soda, juices, Monsters. Never seen him drink water. It's probably contributing to his noticeably poor health as of lately, but there's also a lot of other things contributing to that, which we'll get to. His cleanliness. You may notice he will wear the same shirt for sometimes weeks at a time. He'll wear the same clothes for weeks at a time. Sometimes he'll switch decently quickly. Who knows what determines it? Maybe if he's got someplace to be or whatever. If Clint's like, "Hey kiddo, I'm taking you out for dinner. Better not be smelly, boy." We'll get into catchphrases later. He seems to very rarely shower. Usually, you can like tell when he showers because like his hair will actually be like decently like slicked down and not looking like absolutely wild with like just sticking out in random directions. It seems like he probably showers, and when he does, he'll like clean his hair and change his clothes and all that. It seems like he probably does it all at once. Like, I don't know if he's like, I don't know how often he's like actually showering and then putting the same shirt on. So like, I kind of imagine that the showers are just in between shirts, but hard to say. It's pretty rare for him to like shave or cut his hair. Every once in a while after a shower, you'll see like, oh, he trimmed the sides of his beard. He just has like the goat thing now. Or a couple of times it's been like just a mustache or whatever. He's shaved his head before. And obviously he does not brush his teeth. His teeth are just rotting away. Literally, like most of every tooth is gone. If you see him like smile nowadays, like literally every single tooth, there's like half of it left. It's got to be really painful. I think he's said it is. I don't know how much of it would be like covered if he was actually to try to like get some help for that, but it's also like way too far gone to like get like fillings or anything. So like anything would be like a really major procedure probably. He doesn't really eat a lot of hard foods anymore, as we've all noticed, because I think he just can't do it anymore. So what's up with all that? I guess it's possible like it's a sensory issue. That seems likely. You know, some people, especially with autism, will like, this is one of the things, sensory stuff, like it's just like an overload for them. Like, oh, the feeling of stepping out of the shower wet is just like way too much and it ruins my day. I'm not trying to like dumb it down to something that sounds like insignificant. Like, I'm sure it really sucks to have that. What the hell are these guys doing? Maybe that's an explanation for like the not changing clothes, not feeling like brushing teeth. Like maybe he just doesn't, maybe it bothers him or whatever. Which kind of gets into like the delicate thing of like, what is it okay to like criticize him for or like crack jokes about? Obviously that's a shitty thing to have and have to deal with. You know, I wouldn't go like, haha, look at the loser suffering. But, you know, there's the line of like people who are bothered by showers still have to, you know, clean themselves. Just like someone with like social anxiety still has to talk to a human being once in a while, you know? Like there's certain things for like sanitation that we just kind of need to, I don't know. Don't go too hard on him, you know? It's gotta suck. A lot of people want me to bring up his kind of mental and physical decline over the past couple of years that some have noticed. Well, everyone's noticed. Yeah, if you find some clips of him from a couple of years ago, even like a year and a half ago, especially if you find some from like back when he was like still at Clint's or whatever, he seems a lot more with it. He's speaking faster, more clearly, making more sense than he does today. That is most likely due to, well, for one, I think when he turned 18, he was really thrilled about like this idea that he wouldn't have to listen to his parents anymore. Like they couldn't make him do anything anymore. And I think he pretty soon after like stopped taking any kind of medication. I think I remember hearing that from like one of the first bite-size whole docuseries things. So there's that, and then obviously mass amounts of alcohol. He smokes a ton of cigarettes all the time, drinking and smoking. He really can't afford cigarettes that much, so like sometimes he'll have tobacco for his pipe. Back in the day, he used to get cigarette butts off the ground and like get the tobacco out of them, or just like continue smoking them or whatever. There was the duster inhaling, which I guess I like probably stopped at this point, I'd imagine. But you know, like computer keyboard dusting spray, can of air. You know, it's like what some people do with like spray paint or like industrial glue or whatever. Don't do it. Don't do it. It'll absolutely destroy your brain. He says he stopped doing it because it stopped doing anything for him, which is a very concerning thought. On top of that, obviously his poor diet is probably not helping. He says he smokes weed. I don't know how often he's doing that. I mean, like, obviously, whatever. It's not like you get addicted to it. It's not like it's going to destroy your brain. However, people who do a lot, like, kind of become dependent on, like, having that numbing feeling, and, you know, they get forgetful and whatever. If it's consistent, I don't know how consistent he really is. He says it helps with his Asperger's. I don't know if that means he's like getting it regularly or what. And the result of all this stuff is that, yeah, you could tell he's talking a lot slower. It's harder to like understand him. Like even like his voice is just like gritty. It sounds like his throat is like swollen. It's probably accelerated his balding a lot. I think it's definitely genetic. I mean, look at his dad. However, you know, I tend to see that people who just like drink a ton of alcohol usually lose it faster and aren't taking good care of themselves. But hey, some people just lose it very fast, very early. But I think a lot of his health is contributing to it. Okay, that's through a lot of the like exposition stuff. I want to talk about some somewhat relevant characters and stuff. Have you heard of Stephanie, an ex-girlfriend of his? I think they met at Job Corps. She has come up previously after they broke up because she was like talking shit about him on the internet for some internet clout, stuff like that. I don't know. Some say he had a good thing going with Stephanie. I'm sure there's some wildly problematic stuff in there. Supposedly he cheated on her. As I recall the story, there was something like there was a pregnant woman in a van that wanted cigarettes, and in exchange for them, you know, did it with Josh. Don't smoke when you're pregnant. I don't know if like I don't remember if he like told that story or what. Again, it's probably not gonna like come up at any point soon, so whatever. Nal, Naked and Laughing, Jessica Boyle, Queen Nal, whatever, various names. You probably know his most recent ex-girlfriend. She was already kind of like an internet figure to a much smaller scale. She was doing live streams. I think people set them up like, oh my God, you should look into King Cobra. You guys should get together. I don't know. So that's how they started talking. It really seems like trolls really brought this together. Like, oh, you should talk to each other. Oh, people should raise money to fly you out, you know? Before Nal, he was on his famous 6-year dry spell. I don't know if I mentioned that anywhere else in here. For the longest time, he was like, I'm patiently waiting. I'm not in a rush. The right person will come along when it's meant to be or whatever. I don't even care about my 6-year dry spell that he, for some reason, just kept bringing up all the time. I want to say maybe Stephanie was his last. I guess. I don't know. Anyway, do we have to really get into Nal? She visited a couple of times. She's from Virginia Beach. She gets blamed for him getting evicted from his last apartment. She made threats to him. People say stalked. He was kind of weird to her as well at times. A bunch of really toxic stuff between them. They broke up. He broke up with her because he was like, damn, this is way too toxic, which is wild for him to be the one to decide that. And yeah, that's kind of settled down now. She like came back one time and they hung out again. And it was also a big mess. Yeah, but not many new revelations with that. You've been here for that probably. Another character that pops up from time to time still, Darth Linney. Not much going on with him. He's pretty chill. He's like got hobbies and stuff. He's got a channel. He like makes knives. He's not doesn't really seem to be problematic at all. He just comes by from time to time, says some funny shit, drinks with Cobra and leaves. Oh my God, and even write in Sasha on this. Sasha, you may have recently seen pop up. She's just another friend of Cobra, still shows up from time to time. She's trans. Well, really, it's kind of ambiguous. She doesn't really specify. It's not like she hasn't really come out and said how she identifies. And maybe she doesn't really know, and that's fine too. Yeah, Sasha Campbell. I'm not really sure how she feels about like what would be considered dead naming. You might have heard Cobra mention like a warlord in the past couple of months. A nickname. A lot of his friends had like these weird nicknames. What's notable about Sasha? She's supposedly gotten breast implants. Hasn't really become like relevant to anything yet, so no. Seems to deal with a lot of addiction. Was apparently going to jail for a while, but then like is still showing up, so I don't know. On to Aaron, rip homeboy Aaron. I think he lived in the same apartment complex at the time, at the Conquistadors. He was thought to be a troll because he would like post stuff to like King Cobra Facebook groups, like just like pictures of the layout of his apartment and stuff. Famously was weird with Jessica when Josh and her were together. The teeny sucking incident. And he unfortunately passed away. Rip homeboy Aaron. On to Ellen, daughter of Walt and Angie, who we'll also talk about, I guess. Well, Ellen Knight and Alicia Rohde. You may have heard Josh recently refer to them as his ex-crushes, which is a weird thing to label someone as. I believe went to school with Alicia. I don't remember if he also went to school with Ellen. He was definitely friends with Ellen to an extent. He wanted a lot more out of that. He was friend zoned. She had a boyfriend, and that made things weird. I'm pretty sure her boyfriend would like tease Josh, knowing that like he wanted Ellen something my piece of ass. I don't know. He was definitely weird with Ellen. Like just tried to impress her in weird ways. Bought her like tickets to see Black Veil Brides, and was like, I don't even care if she takes me or not. If she decides that I'm the, I don't think she took him. He also like raised money for like a Christmas or Thanksgiving dinner for her family because they like couldn't afford it, and he like talked about it extensively on video, like I guess trying to impress her. I don't know, it was weird. Anyway, she was probably getting like harassed by trolls and whatever, and I mean also by Josh to an extent, so like that made problems. She was probably, I don't really remember how it all ended, but like probably like, hey, this is way too much. Leave me alone, probably. And unfortunately, Josh decided to still befriend her parents, Walt and Angie. Rip Walt. So he would like still go over to their house to hang out, and he would often mention how like if Ellen would show up, he would leave to not make her uncomfortable, which is a wild concept and still disturbing. But he like adamantly was like, if they didn't want me there, they'd tell me to leave and that would be fine. Like just like insisting that it was okay that he was at their house still. Also, while he was there, trolls would just like, sometimes he'd be live while he was there and trolls would just be like calling their house phone and making them irate. I kind of forget the story with Alicia. She didn't really come up that much anymore, except for him mentioning his ex-crushes. I think it was a girl from school that he had a crush on, and I guess it was pretty obvious to other people, and I guess like made fun of him for it and whatever. And then yeah, Walt and Angie. Walt died recently. The whole GoFundMe issue going on right now. Parents of Ellen. Obviously, there's so many more characters I could go into. They're just not really going to be coming up into play here. What's the deal with those trolls? He's constantly tormented by trolls. He has been for many years. He's a public figure on the internet. People call him a lol cow, if you're going to use that term. It's like the worst thing you can do on the internet is like have a reaction to people talking shit to you, you know? Like back in the day, there was like the cardinal sin of being mad on the internet, you know? You raise your voice about something someone says to you, and suddenly you are just the most entertaining piece of media that can be found on the internet. Just becomes like, hey, every time you send this guy this specific message, he goes off, and it's amazing media entertainment. So for years and years, his internet trolls have like had his phone number, had all of his addresses, just like been contacting his friends and family, harass local businesses. Like he's live streamed from the bar Frosties before, and people will just be constantly calling the bar over and over, just asking for him or just saying weird stuff or watch out for that guy sitting in the corner, you know, weird weird stuff like that. He eventually got kicked out of there. It's happened to probably a bunch of other local businesses, prank pizza calls and stuff. He's been swatted before on live stream, which is horrific shit. In the last apartment, he got DoorDash sent to him constantly when he was live. Just delivery after delivery of just like stupid stuff. I don't know if you remember the like sauce sandwiches from Subway. People would order Subway to be delivered to him, and it's got nothing but every single sauce that they sell and maybe like a couple of vegetables. And he would get so mad, he would like try to prove something, and he would eat the sandwich and be like, oh, how is this even trolling? I get free food. Look, I'm enjoying the sandwich. He's just like sauce just like pouring out of it. How is this trolling? You just gave me free food. Or stuff like people would send him like cat food, and he would just like make a cat food burger and eat it. Take that, trolls. I guess I already talked about his evictions. I mean, it's assumed that people trolling him contributed to those a lot, but like he also was a terrible tenant. I guess briefly touch on his politics. They're basically whatever the last thing he heard was. He regurgitates a lot, which has pretty much exclusively been like hardcore right-wing stuff lately. It's got to be like whatever's popping up on his YouTube recommended, whatever podcast, Terrence Pop. Like if you listen long enough, he will eventually like have some like other take. Like, in my opinion, the extreme right goes too far with telling people how they can live or whatever. So like he will say opposing opinions in like the same sentence sometimes and not realize it. It doesn't really excuse some of the awful stuff he spouts, of course. But you know, like his conviction is not really there. He does not even vote. Last time the election came around, he says he went out and the line was too long, so he went to the liquor store instead and went home. I already talked about the crappy merch. I know he sell the wands. His music. He's been making music for a long time now. He plays guitar. He sings. You can listen for yourself to decide if he's any good. He's got a bunch of albums, bunch of releases. He releases stuff through Deathbed Tapes mostly. Seems to just be like an indie label that is happy to just profit off of him. The music is it's not good. I mean, like some of it is ironically entertaining. He has no concept for any kind of musical structure. He uses GarageBand on his computer and pretty much just like records stuff through its internal microphone, like singing and guitar, I think. And he'll find like a random drum loop to lay down that like he does not account for tempo at all. It's just kind of there in the sometimes it almost seems like he puts the drums in after to like stuff that he recorded without a click, and like he just didn't even attempt to match it up. I don't know. I'm not even sure if he knows that the drums is supposed to match up with everything else. I think he's been stealing a lot of music lately, just like random instrumental tracks he gets online that he didn't purchase the rights for, and he has even been putting a lot of AI music lately. And he like the way he gets those tracks he finds online is like he will like play them through the internal speakers of his computer and record them into the internal microphone in his computer, I'm pretty sure. So it sounds awful. You can hear like mouse clicks during it. Yeah, not much to that. His whole goth styling, I guess, whatever. He discovered Danny Filth and Ozzy Osbourne one day. He liked the vibe. He talks about Satanism. He's got the Cobra cult, which is not something I've really mentioned because it really doesn't come up anymore. It's like a religion he like made up as a kid with his friends. He doesn't really talk about it much anymore. That symbol he's got, where it's got like that S and it's on a lot of his shirts. He made that. I think it's relevant to the Cobra cult. He loves Ozzy Osbourne so much, more than anything in the world. He always talks about how much he loves Ozzy. Long live Ozzy. It's gonna be a wild day when Ozzy dies. It's wild to think about, like, when that day comes. like probably about 500,000 people around the world are going to immediately think, oh my God, where's King Cobra? Is he okay? Yeah, he likes snakes, obviously. He likes goth stuff. He loves green and black. He really just vibed with that aesthetic and just went for it. Okay, that was like a lot of major stuff. I just kind of want to go over like phrases, notable moments that people wanted me to talk about, and things that just gonna be referenced here and there going forward, probably. And some creepy, weird stuff at a point. His bike. He has a bike still. Pops up once in a while in his like food hack videos, just like sitting there. I don't know. I think it might be like broken, or I don't know. Maybe he doesn't remember how to ride or something. I don't know. He used to ride bike, weather permitting, which is a quote from him. He used to have some videos riding the bike around with his green helmet. Is that ever going to be relevant again? I'm not sure. I don't think he'll ever make videos riding the bike around town anymore due to his recent decline. Rip homeboy Scotty. When people say that, yes, there is a homeboy Scotty. I don't know if there was like a specific moment that there was like a falling out. Like he like threatened his sister at one point. Scotty's sister. Probably complicated relationship with that family. Scotty was also kind of scummy. Kept saying he was going to like set Josh up with a girl or whatever, as if he had any kind of way to do that. Okay, fine. Scotty is not dead. Pains me to say it because it's so much funnier to say rip homeboy Scotty, but yeah, no, that's just like people. That's just people trolling him. They just notice it makes him mad when people say that. And he also used to hate when people would say something like got your goat, because he'd be like, I don't even have a goat. What are you talking about? That's not really that relevant. Fun Size Felicia is the sex doll that he had for a time that I'm pretty sure someone sent him, not new. There's some creepy videos of him interacting with Fun Size Felicia. It's also pretty creepy that she's fun size. I think some suggest that she's named Felicia because it sounds kind of like Alicia. And he said one day that he was gonna clean her, and someone suggested using like a dishwashing detergent, and that he tried it and it like melted the silicone or whatever. But then for some reason he later admitted that he like butchered her and like put her in a garbage bag or something, just chopped her up, which is pretty disturbing. I'm pretty sure he gained a lot of fame during that era of like him making videos like explaining like why it's okay to have a sex doll girlfriend and whatever. Another thing people wanted me to bring up is the mantis, the praying mantis. I didn't really pay too close attention during this time. Stuff with animals really annoys me. I guess he like found a praying mantis and I don't know, took it, killed it eventually, and glazed it onto a staff or a big wand and sold it. Yeah, really weird. A surprising amount of people wanted me to bring up the thing with the baby bird, which I believe is, I don't know if there's like any kind of video involving this, but he has said this, a lot of the most weird stuff about him, he has just admitted freely. He said one time how like he saw a baby bird on the ground in a parking lot and figured it probably wouldn't survive, and said he like ran it over with his bike tire, which is stupid and very disturbing because, you know, people who abuse and mutilate animals usually have a lot of other bigger problems and tendencies. Talked about his little logo. Tactical soap. He's just the target market for that. Found out about this pheromone soap that's supposed to attract the ladies, and I guess he really thought like this is it. This is my thing. Started buying this soap thinking it was going to help him with the ladies. Set up like an affiliate thing with them, like a code. Oh, you link this and I get a cut or whatever, which by the way, anyone can do for any company that does that affiliate thing. It's not like a sponsorship where like you're representing them. It's like you can pretty much get like an affiliate code for anything, and sometimes you get a cut, sometimes you get a discount, sometimes you get a coupon for enough, you know. bunch of people want me to mention the whole hair dye thing, which is just a specific moment that really doesn't matter anymore. But, you know, I get it. It's a key, funny thing. He has a video dyeing his hair, and he just gets it all over everything, his face, his eyebrows. He's just dyeing everything. It's like a blue-black, and he just gets it all over his entire face, the hair dye. And in the middle of it, he gets a call from Wendy's asking where he is, and he realizes that he had the hours wrong for when he's supposed to work, and like he was supposed to be there already. So he's like, oh my God, I can be there in like a couple hours. And then he like continues just like rubbing hair dye all over himself. I think I checked out on a video on my channel, long time ago. You could find, I'm sure, the original video somewhere. I guess a lot of people find that to be a pivotal moment. I don't know. I talked about his 6-year dry spell. Puff, the bearded dragon, he got it from a friend. I think mostly just like a neighbor that probably couldn't take care of it anymore. Hey, it's an exotic animal. And I don't like when people have exotic animals. I mean, Josh obviously adopted it. He wasn't out seeking it or whatever. He should not be in charge of animals, obviously. I checked out for this because it just would have made me so mad, this whole thing. But I know a lot of people complained about like how they felt Puff was being treated and the cleanliness of the tank and Cobra's even ability to understand the needs of a reptile or anything really. And one day, the way Cobra tells it is like he had like Puff on his shoulder or whatever, climbing on him, and he went out to smoke, and Puff ran away, which doesn't make sense unless Josh like passed out or literally couldn't keep up with him and actually lost him, or something else horrible happened and he's covering it up. Honestly, with his record, I feel like he probably would just say if something else weird happened, but I don't know. It could be any of those things. I mean, he probably like went out to smoke and just like passed out, right? Or like was just like so drunk you didn't notice or something. But it could have been something horrible. People still comment to this day like, I don't know, I think he ended up in a food hack. All right. Okay, let's get into... I didn't go over the phrases yet. How did I skip over that? TWU, you might see people writing a lot. That's what's up. Cobra catchphrase, that is what is up, tubes. That's what's up. You know, TMDWU, that's most definitely what is up. YouTube, that's most definitely what is up. Bacon Maple Ranch on that YouTube. I'm just making up voices now. I know it doesn't sound like him. All right. Better not go live, boy. Better not blank, boy. I believe that started as better not go live, boy, which used to be a surefire way to get King Cobra to go live. Gets a text, you better not go live, boy. And then soon after he would go live, like, yeah, this troll was telling me I don't go live. I'll go live when I want. You don't get to tell me when I go live. Just the most basic reverse psychology. That's where that came from. And then, you know, it's just kind of funny to just use it as just like a vague threat to people now. The funniest way to use it is to like say it as the opposite thing of what you want someone to do. Better not be an amazing father and loving husband, boy. Better not log on to Xbox and play Halo 5 Warzone with me, boy. But I digress. And that's another one, but I digress. Pretty much speaks for itself. It's just a thing he likes to say when he's getting off track, but he probably rarely uses it correctly, but, you know, he does from time to time. But that's another one. He doesn't tend to do this much anymore unless he's, like, making, like, an annoying point about something or thinks he's, like, absolutely cooking with a take. You might hear from time. Usually it's just mostly heard in reference to what he used to say it more. But it is what it is. So that's not really a big one. Just kind of it's kind of thing he tends to say, and that's the thing of it. And that's the thing of it is usually one which is usually followed up by, and that's the thing of it. YouTube. I don't go out of my way to harass my trolls and flag their videos. Just think he gets stuck on phrases, you know, and he just repeats them. Another thing you'll hear him say a lot is like, I rule my trolls' sad, pathetic lives. I rule my trolls' miserable lives, or else they wouldn't go out of their way to mess with me. I don't go out of my way. My trolls are obsessed with me, yada yada. So, sad, miserable life is usually one that gets brought up. People wanted me to mention the Forbidden Five, which I believe was evolving in its specifications. Have you ever heard him say, I'm straight for of-age women? It's a really funny way of wording it. When he's just trying to say that he's straight. Like when you say it like that, like I'm straight for of-age women, like damn, who are you not straight for? Like why are there specifications here? Wouldn't the one thing just make sense? But with that in mind, yeah, I believe the 5 are of age, alive, human, non-related, and consenting. Why does he specify such obvious things for his seeking of a partner or interest? Because people try to tell him he wants otherwise. Mainly, it's the of age thing. He hates sickos. Wow, that was not even a point that I thought to bring up, but here we are anyway. He really goes out of his way to say how much he hates sickos and would only want to be with an of-age woman because people harass him about it and it really gets to him, so he makes sure to clarify every time how much he hates sickos, because he probably keeps getting called it in like texts and whatever. He's like, no, I hate sickos. I only like of-age women. Like, he just, like, feels the need to specify it every time, because if he doesn't, people could be like, oh, so you know, which is where all the other ones came from, because it's like, he's like, yeah, I like of-age women. And they're like, wow, what about your fucking sister, you sicko? And then so he's like, oh, no, I mean non-related, too, and consenting. And then I'm sure people are like, wow, you would do that to a dead body? And then he's like, no, alive. They have to be alive. And then they're like, wow, you would do that to a giraffe? And he's like, no, human. You know? Like, this poor guy thinks he needs to specify every single time that the woman would be of age, alive, human, non-related, and consenting. A lot of people like to say it's weird how he has to mention all those things, and it sounds like he's admitting guilt by trying to cover it up by being so specific about it. Maybe you're right. I feel like he's just kind of focusing on it, but we'll also get into some weird stuff in a second that I'm not looking forward to, and hey, maybe you're right. He also has been adding on to that list lately, cisgender. He goes, straight for of-age women who are alive, human, consenting, non-related, cisgender. And, you know, it kind of doesn't fit on that list, being that all the other ones are a legality. You know, it's like saying like something like, I would never do it with a dead body or a fat chick. Like those are not comparable things. Like, which, I mean, yeah, it's silly to include that. And I mean, really, the whole thing is ridiculous that he feels the need to clarify all those things. But like, you know, if he's gonna specify cisgender, you might as well also say like, and not older than the age of 54, and definitely not taller than like 6'2", and probably within my or a similar culture. And she better not have a hitchhiker's thumb, you know, like, it's like, how detailed are we going to be getting into your preferences here now? Like, the first 5 were like absolute necessity for legality. But, you know, he's transphobic as hell anyway, so not surprising. And he'll say no because he's like, I'm literally friends with Sasha. And listen, no disrespect to Sasha, but she's kind of a crackhead that would probably do a lot of things for a hot meal, including deal with your crazy ass. Anyway, I already talked about the baby bird. A couple of other things straight from the horse's mouth. Warning for unwanted sexual stuff. He mentioned himself in a video once about the time he went to a party with friends. And at some point there, he saw a lady get her ass smacked. And she seemed to really enjoy it. And he was like, nice. That must be the ass smacking lady. Or something like that. And so later on, he tried, and she was like, what the fuck? And it turned out that was her husband before, or something like that. And no one ever would have probably heard about that if he hadn't just literally brought it up himself the day after on a video. So way to go with that one, Joshi. His oversharing really comes in handy. He also, this one is the one I've the least memory of. I'm sure it gets brought up in bite sizes stuff. I believe he like bragged before about like getting a girl in the special aid education classes to like show him her boobs, or like he like touched them or something, which is really fucked up. And again, that's just a thing that he just like bragged about. He just like brought it up himself and then like never brought it up again. Just like all this other stuff that was really weird that he mentioned himself, like the baby bird thing. Also, at one point in the video, he was like living in his dad's basement or whatever still. He posted a video talking about how he got like a Facebook girlfriend. And then I want to say maybe in like a separate video after that one said he like broke it off because he realized that she was underage, and doesn't go into any detail about if there was, you know, any kind of like illegal conversation, but who's to say? I don't know if it was just like, oh, let's change our status or whatever. I don't know if they were talking or what, but none of those past few things that I mentioned are going to be coming up, I imagine, at any point, but felt pretty necessary for a whole kind of summary and recap of this creepy guy. And especially like some of this was important because I did see on the post that I made that some people were like, why does this guy get so much hate? He just seems like he's like a funny dude who makes these food hacks and whatever. And you don't know about like a lot of the weird and shitty stuff that he does and says. And you know, he's like a stalking kind of creep. So there you go. That was all I had written down. You know, there's little facts you could just like throw out there all day. Oh, Summer was his ex-girlfriend that like tattooed the Aussie letters on his knuckles, I think, or whatever. It's just not really going to come up, you know? I'm sure I'm missing a lot of stuff that other people found very relevant, and I'm sorry for that. Again, I just kind of had to just get all this stuff out in as simple of a quick video as possible. This is not a quick video. I can see I've been recording for quite a long time. I don't know what the runtime of this is going to be, but I've been recording for an hour and 45 minutes. Hopefully a lot of that is silence, because I think really slow. Of course, as I said, I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. I haven't been around here the whole time. I might have gotten some stuff wrong even. If there's things that you would have included, feel free to write them down in the comments. If there's things that you still want info on, feel free to ask down in the comments, and if I know it, I'll try to help. Or otherwise, I'm sure there's plenty of people that would be happy to explain other key moments. So I imagine the comment section of this video will be pretty wild. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this helped. Hopefully you got all of your dishes done, or input all of that data into those Excel spreadsheets, or made it to your destination while driving, or whatever you were doing that this helped you get through it. Thanks so much for listening. Maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't. Better not like and subscribe, boy.